Hello, everybody. It is me, Seventh Hanuman. It is late, but I am here to present you guys the finale to the Truth of Gang Stalking series. I know I have not been on in a while, and I hope all of you are doing good. So, for the next hour or so, I will be explaining the video, and I will play this video for you guys, and we will watch it together, and I will talk about what's going on in details and share my self evidence and how I connect the dots. Now, I need to remind you, the viewer, my experience and my understanding of gang stalking is subjective. What I have are theories. And TIs, we have theories based on our personal experience dealing with gang stalking. So, with that being said, I know TIs, when they share their stories, they are telling the truth from their perspective. Because that is what the TI know from years of experience in his or her own environment. Now, environment is very important for a TI. And based on the environment, the level of gang stalking can be intensified or minimized. So for me, I was, I feel I am fortunate to be living in an environment that is comfortable and minimize the gang stalking. Because my living situation is uncommon, I would imagine is uncommon because I live on a farm and I don't have neighbors. And based on my research and watching other targeted individuals' content, majority of TIs have neighbors very close proximity. Uh, they might share a fence. Uh, you know, they might have neighbors living above him or her, the TI, or literally just to the side, meaning an apartment complex. So for those TIs, their gang stalking are more intense than mine. So, with that being said, what I will be showing you tonight is my personal experience with gang stalking and what I, by chance, stumble upon what I truly believe are the gang stalkers. And no one have ever, well, not ever, no one have brought up this subject, at least not what I can find on social media sites or other content creators channels. So no one in the TI community have brought up this topic and identify the gang stalkers in what I'm about to show you. Hey, Oop, thank you for joining me. It is late. I don't expect many to show up, but that's fine. I will be explaining and describing the video that I will be showing. So I'm glad you're excited. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Oh, in the meantime, I want to show a video that I uploaded earlier this evening. He said, "Hey, Oop." Yes, I did. Hey, Oop. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Is it Oop? Or Oop? 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 Sorry. So let's give me 1 second. So a few hours ago, I uploaded this video, video 39.1 in Truth of Gang Stalking. And in the video, I mentioned how I discovered the gang stalkers. And we can watch it together and let's go from there. So the gang stalkers in the video, I call them um, orbs. But just by saying orbs, okay, it's for the TI, for UTI, you're probably drawing a blank. That's because I will explain to you why I come to that conclusion, and I will show you what I have found. And this is my way of showing you my theory, because there's many theories, and it's up to you to decide which theory makes sense. So now I will show this video that I uploaded tonight. Here we go. And I will play this video now. Hey guys, pay close attention to the windmill behind me. See that? So one night I was out here, maybe 2 a.m., and I got my camera out, the DSLR, and I took photos of the area behind me. And I captured a bunch of orbs. And at first, I didn't know what they were. I have no knowledge of orbs or these strange things in photos. Now I know. They're the Gangstalkers. And if I never took those photos, I would never, well, I wouldn't say never, but it wouldn't be the way it is now. I wouldn't know who are the Gangstalkers. So it was a very important piece of information that I just so happened to stumble upon by chance. And just having this piece of information is not enough. Later on, I would discover another important piece of information. Now, with these two pieces of information, I was able to draw a line and connect the dots. So, I've been telling you guys, it's okay if you don't understand what's going on. Just take in the information, and one day it just might connect for you. That day might come years down the line or might come next week. Who knows? But that day will come. And if not, don't worry, because I will tell you. Well, I already did. But I will show you more information on this. I will connect the dots, finish this picture, and show you these demons, the gang stalkers, the aliens, the evil aliens. Sumo signing out.
This week.
Okay, everybody. So now let's continue with the actual video. Video number 40 in the Truth of Gang Stalking series. So let's go full screen. Can I go full screen on this? Full screen. Try to work full screen here. Wonder why this is not full screen. Okay, so here we go. Now, I will explain this as the video plays, so it will be live. That I will be sharing my theory with you guys. So let's get started. Hey everybody, it is me, 7th Hanuman. Before I start today's video, I want all of you to know 3 things. Number 1, what you're about to see, it's subjective based on my personal experience. And my personal self evidence. So you must be your own judge and you must decide if the information I share with you is the truth or not. Number two, if you do not have the time to watch this video in its entirety, then stop watching it and watch and come back later when you have time. Number three, your consciousness, your awareness will change. And once I show you the faces of your gang stalkers, remember, do not trust them. They're evil. Remember, you are in the driver's seat. No fear. Let's start the video. Okay, so let's start with here. This is many, many years ago. I believe when I first, maybe 6 months after I moved on to this property, moved to this new property that I'm living at currently. And this barn right here is the 100-year-old barn that I made a mention in video number 35. And this photo was taken at midnight, I believe. It was about 1 or 2 a.m. Back then, I really was scared for my own safety, for my family's safety, because at the time, I believed my neighbors were coming over to my house and messing with me. So that was one reason I believe I went outside to take photos. I took this photo using DSLR, but this is actually pitch black with some light coming from the house, which is directly across from this barn. So behind me as I'm taking this photo. Now, this is the windmill I mentioned in the previous video. I told you guys to remember this windmill. So this photo was taken, maybe 5-6 years ago. And this is the same night. So when I was taking these photos, I noticed something strange because some of these photos, I noticed these type of circles. And to me, they look like, well, I didn't really know what they are. But I know they looked strange. Okay. I wasn't feeling excited or shocked about it. I just noticed them in the photos. Kind of strange, like, what is it? Give me the question mark. Wasn't too curious to find out. And at this time, okay, I know nothing about these orbs. I believed it was my neighbors. But I have to say, I was in between my neighbors and uh, artificial intelligence and some type of agency, but not law enforcement. I already crossed out the police, okay? But as I'm looking at the photos, especially one like this one, I have no answer for them. So I have no idea what these things are. And for a while, I was receiving voice to skull, and these gang stalkers would tell me a bunch of different identities. I have no way of knowing which one is which. And it took me many, many months, okay, later, that one night I was watching a video. I was watching a video on YouTube, and it's about exploring abandoned uh, silver mine. So this abandoned silver mine, no longer in operation, and these people was exploring it, and they got deep into the mine, and eventually they stopped and decided to take some photos. So they took the photos, and the image was shown in the video of the photo. And in the photo, there was a bunch of orbs, a bunch of circle orbs, just like the one in my photo. And I thought it was interesting. But at the time, I did not make the connection. And eventually, I don't know exactly how long it took, but eventually, one day, something happened. I can't remember what, but I finally made the connection. And the connection I made was an abandoned silver mine that's no longer in operation, but it was in operation over 100 years ago. And what happens in silver mines, or just mine in general? There are accidents. I would imagine 100 years ago, there's more accidents than the modern day mine. So it would be fair to say many workers died inside those mines. And I made the connection that from seeing that one photo from that one mine exploring video, and there were orbs inside that photo. And most likely people die inside a mine. And that made me leaning towards, is it possible an orb is a spirit? Because if it's a spirit and I have orbs on my property, and my gang stalkers have told me that they were spirits or ghosts. They have told me this before. But other ones also told me they are FBI agents, they are artificial intelligent computer from Facebook, they are fairies, they are um, remote viewers in a hotel room somewhere. Like, they told me many different things. But the one that finally makes some sense was they are spirits slash ghosts. And that's because I made the connection with the photo from this abandoned silver mine, because there was orbs inside that mine. So that was my first clue and my very first connection, that is it possible that these circle thingy, these orbs, are the gang stalkers. So now when you see this photo right here, what do you think this is? Now this is on my property 5 years ago. What could cause this? I have no idea. And at the time, I have no idea. And it just looks cool. This actually looks very pretty to me. I have no idea how I got this photo. I don't even know how this got in the photo. Look at it. Just look at this. What is this? What is it? Do you have the answer? What is this? And if you know what this is, please explain or please comment below. Look at this. This was the very first night I took photos and I got all these images. And I didn't know what to make of it. Just look at this one. Now, what I'm showing you here, I expect you to, for the majority, to not know much of it. Because when I first saw these type of images, I I didn't know what to think of it. My mind wasn't thinking about anything. I have no knowledge of it. It was just really cool. I kind of have this idea that it's something that's probably uncommon. It's not something that I see in magazines or in books or in photos. Well, maybe it's out there, but I just don't search for it. But I just don't. It's one of those uncommon things for me at the time. And then, as time progressed, I start taking interest into using my camera phone or using a camera to take photos on my property. And I started noticing images such as this one. And what do I mean? Now, if you look at this photo here, you see this kind of transparent type of fuzzy thing, like a almost like a filter in front of me. And this curve right here, how it curves. What is that? When I first saw that, I thought this was very interesting. What is it? Is it my camera? And basically, ever since then, the night I made the connection with the abandoned mind photos, that these circles are most likely spirits, ever since then, I was on this path, the path of gathering data and basically putting the pieces together for this big picture. And I truly believe that my theory is the strongest one in the entire TI community. Now, this is one day when I was at work. I took this video. When you're looking at this, what do you think this is? Okay, here's another one. You see this? Some of you might just say, oh, that is what is called a light flare. It's one of those camera lighting of effects that even directors in Hollywood, some directors like to add this into their films, right? They call it light flare. That's just when the light hits the camera lens. And okay, that's somewhat true. It's fair. That's exactly what's happening, right? Light hitting the camera lens. But what's not being explained is, I get it. Okay, light flare, the light hits the camera lens. But what are these other things that's showing up? It's like, okay, yeah, explaining the actual process of what's happening, the light hitting the camera lens. But then the result of it, it's like, what is it? When using the words light flare, it just sounds so simple and just something that, okay, well, just some light affecting. You can just brush it off. But since I'm a TI and I'm going through gang stalking, my experience is not so easily believe that, oh, it's just some light effect. Because obviously in this video I'm showing you, this is more than just light effect. Look at this. What light effect is causing that can cause my camera to do something like this? Just look at it. And there's another one. Look at this. Look how many layers. Look, I see many different circles, curves. There's one right here, two right here. There's a bigger one, 3, 4. There's 5. What can cause this? This is no longer a light into the camera. To me, this is more than just a simple light effect. And this was taken many years ago, and this is what led me on this path. And seeing is believing, okay? Just me, in my previous videos, I talk about these things. I talk about, oh, it's a demon, which is it's only a personality type. It's not like a monster. A demon, it's a personality type, a character type, like a bully. A bully is just the personality type. It's not like a bully is a monster. Okay, so a demon is a personality. So I made mention of demons because gang stalkers are demons. Their behaviors, the way they harass the TI, the way they induce thoughts into the TI's mind and make the TI live in fear. Okay, many TIs live in fear because of these thoughts coming from these gang stalkers, and these TIs do not understand that they're actually receiving these thoughts, and that's why they think a certain way. That's why they think so negatively. It's because they've been fed these negative thoughts throughout the day, every day. And the TI just buy into them, not realizing those thoughts coming in are not his or her thoughts. So seeing is believing. And what I'm showing you right now, it's science needs to spend more money and more brain power researching this, in which they are slowly are. But what I'm showing you, like, look at this. This is not just a simple light flare. What you're seeing now, I have no answer for, but it's something that's advanced. Look at it. Just look at what you're looking at. Look at this footage. Look at it. What do you think you're seeing? Do you have the answer for this? Just look at that. Do you think that's coming from my camera lens, my camera phone? You think my camera phone can cause this type of an effect? This is something that's in the environment and the camera is picking it up. My camera phone was picking this up, and whatever this is was in the environment with me. Like, do you think my camera phone can create a shape like this? Look at this shape. You see this shape? This is a beautiful design, doesn't it? Looks very beautiful. To me, this looks so advanced, but what is it? Is this the inner workings of my camera phone? Is this what the inside of my camera phone looks like? And that's why it's creating the light flare when the light shines into the camera lens? Do you believe this is what the inside of my camera phone looks like? It looks this pretty? And now look at this. What do you think this is? Look at this sun's ray, okay? These beams, okay? Uh, the beams of light. Look how straight they are. They are straight. Really nice looking, huh? So almost look very intelligent like. It's just like advanced intelligent, doesn't it? It's like you see the sun, okay, you think it's something natural, but then what about the things between the sun and us? See, between the sun and us, there's something else there. And this something else, we can't see with our own eyes. But our cameras, okay, or these type of devices can pick it up. So there's all these things going on around us that we don't know about, or at least we can't see with our own eyes. And yes, you can do research and you can look up specific instrument to detect these different invisible things to our naked eyes. And common we can use common sense. Okay, there's like microwave, there's radio wave, all that other stuff. Like we heard about stuff like that. It's pretty common to hear about things like that. But what do they look like? And what else operates in that frequency? Well, what I learned, okay, from my experience, a TI that's receiving voice to skull, based on my experience, TIs that have gotten to understand voice to skull can communicate with these entities. Because this entire time, okay, the entire time you're being gang stalked, you're a TI, you're already in communication with them. They're already communicating with you, but they are messing with you because the bully, the bully type of gang stalkers will be there, and when they're there, they'll mess with you. Not all of them will mess with you, but all it takes is one or two bully personality type, and they'll be there messing with you. And that's their way of communicating with you. And you're just an easy target. If you're a TI and you have not advanced and you have not recognized you're receiving lower voice to skull, and you have not recognized that the people in public have nothing to do with gang stalking, but these entities are manipulating your thoughts, your mind, and you have no idea that they are feeding you thoughts and leading you on when it comes to the people in public. I mean, just think about it, common sense. How come no TIs have solid proof of these gang stalkers? That's a very legitimate question. That is because the people you believe are gang stalkers are not gang stalkers. The real gang stalkers you can't see with your own eyes, but they are always next to you. Just like how I'm showing you right now in this video. Now, these orbs are everywhere. Here's a green one. Now, this one's fascinating because if you zoom in, look at it. You can see patterns inside this orb. It's like its unique signature or something. You see that? You see these kind of like curved lines? I know it's strange. It took me over 2 years to finally, okay, 2 years to finally let the information sink into my mind that these things are not humans and they are an entity and commonly known as spirits or ghosts. But I would also label them as aliens because before I know about these things, when I hear the word ghost, I would refer ghosts as more of a human. I would think of ghosts as more related to humans, someone that died, but still, in my mind, back in my mind, still a human. But they're not human. They are completely different from human. I think alien would be more fitting for these type of entities. And these things are everywhere. They are outside your house, they are inside your house, they are inside every single building, they are inside your car, they are everywhere. Now, you see this home right here. I would say, okay, let's just say inside this home, there's a family of 8. There's 8 people living in this home. Well, if you look at this photo just outside alone, okay, how many orbs do you see? There's a lot more than 8. And I tell you, on my property, they come like an army. I've shown videos how they're just flying everywhere. It's like an army of them. Literally an army. And my most recent video of me interacting with them inside the portable, inside the room in pitch black darkness, there was hundreds, possibly thousands of them inside that room with me. They are everywhere and they are like an army. And there are gangs of them, literally gangs of these things together as buddies because they've been together for a long time and they're a gang. Literally like just like imagine back in high school how there's like cliques, right? People get into cliques, people have their own groups of friends and they hang out at this spot and other people have their group of friends hang out at that spot. So they're like a little gang. And that's what these things do. They become buddies and they become a gang. Some gangs are bigger, some are less. Some don't care about gang. They'll just freely travel. But they are literally gangs of these and armies of these. Millions of them traveling together like a giant army. And just look at this photo. This is just one little spot, okay? I don't even know where this spot is. And look how many orbs are there. And pay attention to the sizes, okay? They are different sizes because they come in different sizes. And I believe, based on my research, they get bigger as they age. And that to me makes sense because they do accumulate energy. And when they do things, it costs them energy. So they can get bigger by conserving energy and somehow absorbing energy. I don't know how it works, but that's just a theory that I have, and it makes sense to me. And if they move around, they do things, they will have to spend energy, so they're losing energy. So after many years of research, I realized these things, a lot of them don't have to move. Many of them just choose to stand still and not move, especially the bigger ones. The bigger ones don't have to move, they just stand there. They chill there for a long, long time and they don't spend any energy, they just chill there. But if they want to move, they definitely can move. And it also would cost them energy to stand still if the environment, for instance, like a strong wind, because I've shown videos of these little orbs flying in formation because the wind is pushing them that way. So they're just going along with the wind. And if the wind is strong and these things want to go against the current, that would cost them energy, which is just like a very basic theory when it comes to resisting the force. I mean, it will cost you more energy to resist any force, and you don't have to use energy if you're going along with the force. Something's pushing you, just go along with it. Okay, you're not using energy. So same concept. It's a very common, basic concept, and I believe that concept applies to these things. Now look at this building. Inside this building, look how many of these there are. These are not watermarks on the camera lens. They are not water stains. I know when you look at this, for the skeptic, they would think it's dirt, dust, water stain. Understandable. Totally understandable. Well, I know they are not is because I have actually spent many, many hours looking through thousands of photos. So that is my experience in this. And that's how I know, after so many photos I've seen, after my research, these are not watermarks. They're not water stains. They are not dirt on the camera lens. These are real orbs inside this building, in the environment. This is really in the environment of this building. And the camera picked it up. If you and I were standing here in this room, we will not be able to pick that up. Just like if these things, if you believe me, if these things are the gang stalkers, they're right next to you, you wouldn't even know. And they are next to you now. Dumpster stains. Dumpster stain gang stalkers. Now, even though you don't see them here in the outside environment, they are still there. The little ones are still there. And I will show you in a different video. But these tiny little orbs are constantly flying everywhere because there are so many of them. Broad daylight, they're flying. Nighttime, they're flying. They're flying everywhere. Literally an army. Look at this photo. Strange how this is just chilling right there, huh? Now, back to, the light flare and things like that. I try to see, I'm not a scientist. I I'm not good with, explaining these type of things using words that are acceptable in the scientific community, or deemed professional, up to their standards. I'm not that type of person because I just don't have the background in it. So when I see stuff like this, I don't know how to use scientific or words to explain certain things. But just looking at these videos and hours and hours of footage, I no longer believe it's just something so simple. I truly believe it's an entire new field of research that the scientific community don't understand that it exists, that's because it takes a TI. It takes a TI that's receiving voice to skull to realize that these things are more than just an light effect. Does that make sense? That's why, for me, I'm a TI receiving voice to skull. It takes a person like me to battle these things, to go against these things. Eventually, over time, and also by chance, to make some certain connections, to hit down a path where I realize that these things are not just a light effect. These things are actually intelligent. They are actually part of our society. And I come to realization that they represent all the negative in human society. Any negative things that humans do come from an idea, a thought. And this idea and thought was fed to the person by one of these entities. And these entities are everywhere. And they're constantly feeding ideas to people. That's why I may mention it's important for you as a person, as a TI, to identify the quality of your thoughts. You're being tested. They send you negative thoughts. If you're a TI that just accept negative thoughts and start thinking into negative thoughts, then most likely your action coming from those negative thoughts, your action will be a negative one. So it's up to you to identify these thoughts that are coming in. It's up to you to decide which ones to receive and which one to make action of after you receive the thought. For example, you have three friends, and one friend tells you, let's go to McDonald's for lunch. Another friend tells you, let's go to In-N-Out Burgers for lunch. Another friend tells you, let's go to Wendy's for lunch. So you just received three thoughts, three different places for lunch. Now it's up to you to decide which one you want to go with. Same goes for negative thoughts. You might get two different negative thoughts, and you might get one good thought. But if you overlook the good thought because there's two more negative thoughts, most likely you're going to go with negative thought if that's who you are. Well, you might not do anything about it, even those negative thoughts that could turn into an action. You might not do anything about it. But over time, you're actually loosening up your own integrity, your mental integrity. So over time, they're actually chipping away your spirit, your quality of kindness or anything good. They're chipping it away with negative thoughts and negative ideas. And eventually, over time, you could end up committing a type of action based off of those negative thoughts. And that will get you into trouble. That's how these things work because they're always next to you, feeding you thoughts every day. And for TIs, living in fear, this entire time, you only been listening to the bully spirits. You've been listening to these bad gang stalkers, these bad dumpster stains. That's why you're living in fear as a TI. And for 2 years, I've been teaching you guys the core principle is no fear mentality. You have to have no fear mentality when it comes to your thoughts because their ability is to send you thoughts, negative thoughts, paranoia, or negative thoughts. Does it make sense? That's why majority of TIs are paranoid because it's a form of fear. You're living in fear when nothing is happening. It's only a paranoia thought that you received and you keep thinking into it to a point where you actually believe it's happening or believe it's a reality. For example, sitting in your car, you see someone walk by, they didn't even look at you, but somehow you receive a thought about gang stalking, and that person just so happened to walk by. They didn't even look at you. And your next thought is start labeling that person as a gang stalker. And if you buy into those thoughts, you're being manipulated to keep thinking that way. And when it comes down to it, how has that thought helped you in life? It doesn't. Because that person just walked by you, didn't even look at you. And if you want to spend your energy thinking that person's a gang stalker and that person didn't even make any gesture at you or look at you, then you're wasting your energy thinking about paranoia stuff, thinking about negative feeling stuff, and feeling negative. Because even after they walked away, you'll probably start feeling kind of definitely not a good feeling. Okay, we can agree on that one. So it's more of a bad feeling than a good feeling. So you're constantly getting bad feeling throughout the day. And you keep doing that every day for about a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, how do you think you're going to feel? How do you think you're going to behave like a person if you're getting 4 months of bad feelings on a daily basis? You're not going to be a good person. There's a photo of Carl Sagan. So even in Carl Sagan, one of his video, I saw this. I was like, I have to get this photo. Just look at these things. How is this a light flare? How is the camera creating this? Because of a light shining into the lenses. How is this possible? There might be explanation, but at some point, after seeing so many footage, I just I just know it. There's no explanation for stuff like this other than something that's beyond what we know. Just look at this. There is something else going on here. Something that's happening, something that's around us, and we can't see with our naked eyes. And for a normal person not going through gang stalking, not receiving voice to skull, this is nothing to them. This really is just meaningless to them because they're not in tune with it. They're not being communicated like a TI receiving voice to skull. But I have to tell you, a TI receiving voice to skull can go two ways. One way is the TI have no fear and can handle the voice to skull. And the opposite way is the TI with fear can't handle the voice to skull, eventually behave really crazy, losing control, getting psychiatric help, getting labeled as a schizo, get prescribed with medication or some type. Medication will help for a while, but the entity is still there regardless if the TI is taking medication or not. So the TI is taking medication. It still does not mean these things right here in the photo are gone. These things in the photo are still there regardless if the TI takes medication. If the TI still can't handle it, all it takes is one bad breakout for the TI to get put into a jacket or get checked into some type of mental institute. Well, just getting the medication alone is already labeled as a schizo in his or her medical file. So those are the TIs that are in fear of the voice to skull. Now, for a TI that are not in fear, a TI that can handle the voice to skull will have a better situation than all other TIs. Because in reality, this whole gang stalking is thoughts. It's thoughts and voice to skull and lower voice to skull. It's thoughts, or thoughts are being attacked with negative, over abundance of negative thoughts. That's all it is. Well, I mean, it's the major part of it because these things are in the physical. They're in the physical with us, with you and I. So they can affect you in your physical body. But their major form of manipulating a person is by using thoughts. They can send you thoughts. That's what TIs are receiving, and TIs have the awareness that something's going on. But not all TIs can advance to recognition of understanding, oh, voice to skull and lower voice to skull are happening. And that's because that TI might not be fortunate enough due to his or her environment. TIs that live in an apartment complex, based on my experience of researching, are very unlikely to come out of this gang stalking understanding what's going on. That's because those TIs got too many neighbors. And these entities can use the neighbors as a scapegoat for tricking the TI to believe they're the gang stalkers. But for me, my neighbors are nowhere close to me. I can come outside and I don't see no neighbors. So if I don't see no neighbors, then what is happening? You see how my mind can actually eliminate one step of the process? I come outside, there's no neighbors, so it can't be neighbors. I set up cameras, I don't see anyone, so it can't be neighbors. But for a TI living in an apartment complex, they opened the door, they could see a neighbor walking by, and now they're gonna think it's gang stalkers. So they're trapped in that stage because there's too many people around. So the TI living in an apartment complex set up cameras. Well, of course, those cameras gonna pick up people because a lot of people live in an apartment complex. So each time the TI look at the footage and see a person walk by, these entities going to tell the TI that's a gang stalker, and that TI not realizing he or she just received negative thoughts, and it's not his or her own thoughts, but bought into it, and now that TI is going to start thinking, oh, that neighbor is a gang stalker, and from that moment forward, whenever that TI sees that person again, that TI is instantly going to believe it's a gang stalker. Those are all problems and paranoias and fear that TI have to live with because that TI is living in a very populated area. See, those things I just mentioned do not apply to me because I live on a farm. I have no neighbors nearby. So I don't go through those things. Notice the different path that we have. A TI who's living in those situations, have that one specific path and barrier being set up to prevent that TI from breaking out of it. And for me, living on a farm, I have my own path, which it doesn't come with that barrier because I have no neighbors. So I can eliminate the paranoia thought that it's my neighbors. Does that make sense? So by chance, based on my living situation, my environment, I'm fortunate enough to stumble upon this. And that's why now I'm sharing with you guys. But you guys might not want to accept the information I'm sharing with you because you have never experienced my path. You see, I'm a TI on my own unique path. I may mention that we all have our own journey, and this is my journey. And I'm trying to show you guys what I learned based on my journey. And if this makes sense to you, then I hope this information will help you move forward. And I hope that you'll do something good for society in the future. But I truly believe this is the path. And if you don't want to get on this path, then you're just going to be stuck on believing what you believed before. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I don't see any finish line going down that path. Because I'm showing you something that no other TIs have ever brought up. What are you looking at right now? What are you seeing? Just look at this image. What are you seeing? It's not just a bunch of pretty lights. Something, it's there in the environment, and the camera's picking it up. Now look at this photo. What is this? What do you call this? Is this still a light flare? Before I realized these things, I had no idea they were actually in Hollywood for a long time. From now on, when you watch a movie, you will focus on them when you see them because that's how it works for me. And I'm sure it's going to work for you because now I brought light into this topic. I planted the seed in your head. So the next time you watch TV and movie, you're going to realize, wow, these things are actually being shown more often than you realize. But before this, if you don't know about them, you've seen it many times. Go ahead, watch it. Any one of the movies you've seen in the past, one of your favorite movies, is probably in it. I watch old previous movies that I watched as a kid, and they were in them, in those movies. But I had no idea at the time. Look at this photo. What is this? I don't even know how to explain that, other than it's something that's needs explaining. Look at this one. Like when you see a photo like this, what is this? It looks like a gang to me, right? Doesn't that look like a cluster of gang of these orbs, these entities? Look at it. It's like a gang chilling there. And they come in different sizes, like I told you. Look at this. Like, or this one. See? This is a poker match on TV. And as this person walked towards the camera, look, you see this. What is this? Does this look like a light flare to you? I mean, they're just everywhere. Look at this down here. Like, what is this? Look at these three dots. It might be hard for you to understand or try to believe that there's intelligence in this, right? When you look at this, it's hard for you to believe in that. I mean, how can you look at these dots and think there's intelligence in these things? Like, what? They're just light. But they're energy. They are energy. And Nikola Tesla, he found out there's energy everywhere, right? There's free energy everywhere. That's what led me to believe these things are electromagnetic fields. They're like electromagnetic fields. They're little ball of energy, and they can move. You ever seen those paranormal shows where the paranormal investigator will go into a place and be like, "Are there any ghosts here?" Well, I'll tell you right now, there's absolutely ghosts there, and they're all over that investigator. There's no need to ask if there's ghosts. There's ghosts everywhere you go. Any abandoned buildings, a lot of ghosts. And sometimes you see them use one of those those EMF detectors, and it'll go crazy, and they'll just go away. Well, imagine these things are there, these orbs are there, and the person had the detector in hand, and then put the detector, move the detector into one of these orbs, and it goes off like crazy. The detector goes crazy, and then the orb just moves away, and now the detector just kind of not going crazy anymore. Can you imagine that image? That these things are all over the room, and all you got to do is just put the detector near one of these things. So you just kind of have to move your arms around, and you're probably going to hit the sweet spot, and the detector is going to go off. That's because these things are all over the room. They're everywhere. Look, this is Destiny's Child's music video from the early 2000 maybe, or late 90s. I saw this music video, and then I saw this. I was like, what the heck? So I watched this video back long time ago on MTV or something back in the days. I paid no attention to this. I paid zero attention to this. This did nothing to me. It did not trigger one single thought in my mind. But now, knowing what I know, when I see this is so fascinating to me. Looking at this is like, what is this? And you'll be surprised on a daily basis how many people watching TV out there, and when they see something like this in movies, it does nothing to them. It triggers zero curiosity. It just nothing. Like, this is actually in a movie. What are all these red dots? And what are all these other dots? Well, if you're a TI, and so far, if you're listening and you're believing in things I'm telling you, or you kind of start thinking it makes sense, then it's good for you to look further into it. Maybe after this video, it's time for you to do your own research. And I want you to do your own research, because my findings will be different from yours. And if I can help you in finding new discoveries or help you get on the right path, then that's a good thing. And you can help society, bring awareness to society, let society know about the existence of these entities, because these entities have the ability to mess with people's mind. And a lot of people are vulnerable out there. Why do you think people do dumb things? You ever seen those cop shows, or people committed a crime doing stupidest things? Well, those stupidest things, the ideas, came from somewhere. And those ideas was put into that person's head at that specific time. Well, who's doing it? Did the person just thought it up? Before I know what I know, I would say yeah. But now that after all these years of what I understand what's going on, those negative thoughts were put into that person's head by these entities. Now you have to put yourself in these entities. If you do believe in the existence of these things, what I understand is time does nothing to them. They have time. So when they have time, for instance, let's say you have all the time in the world. If you have all the time in the world, I'll tell you right now, there's two things you can do. Three things you can do. You can, one, not care about anything and just cause destruction wherever you go. Two, just do nothing and be like an observer and just mind your own business. Or three, you can try to accumulate stuff. You can try to think of philosophies and ways to influence people and make people accumulate things for you. Or you could attach yourself to a family, right? So you're following each descendant. So as each descendant continues to grow, in a way, it's like you're accumulating things. You get what I'm saying? So that would require more work. But you could be that type of a character if you have all the time in the world. You could decide to create and build and accumulate wealth over time because you have all the time, right? Or you can be the opposite and just not care about wealth and just want to mess around, fool around, don't care if other people gets hurt because you're going to be there anyways. You have all the time, so you don't care. You just a bully like. I mean, isn't that really some of the options if you have all the time in the world? And that's what's going on. There's some really evil ones out there, and they're the ones that feeds the most evil thoughts. And it's up to the person. And a lot of people actually buy into these thoughts, and they live their life not even realizing they got this evil entity clinging on to them. The Olympics, they are definitely there. Any major events, they are there. Now, when you look at this, can you explain this? I mean, if you're good in science, can you please explain this to me? Do you have a scientific way to make sense of this and explain this away as just some light effect? This is not just no light effect. When you see this, this is more than just light effect. There is something going on with this. Do you agree or disagree? So I hope you guys are seeing my perspective on this whole gang stalking phenomenon. And this is my theory. And I'm trying to show you guys this, and I hope it's making sense for those of you that are watching. If you're still watching, thank you. And I appreciate your support. And I hope my information can help you on your journey. And I hope you will start maybe taking photos of your surrounding more often. Now, this one here, these ladies, I believe this was from a TV show, and these ladies are out try to conjure spirits or communicate with spirits. Now, this is just there are spirits all over them. So there's really no need to conjure anything. Like I was saying earlier about how some paranormal investigators would go into a building and be like, "Are there any ghosts here? How did you die? What is your name? What happened to you?" Like all those questions, I believe the spirit they all laugh at those type of questions. Because look at this photo. There are spirits all over them. There's no need to investigate. Everywhere you go, there's spirits. I wouldn't be surprised if there's tens or hundreds of spirits inside your home right now. There's probably 10, 20 spirits inside your room right now. There's probably more than that next to you. These things are everywhere. There's more of these things than living human on this earth, on this planet. I mean, if these things are human or that pass on, then if you think about it, throughout time, how many people actually died on this planet? We have no idea. But we can say there's probably more people die on this planet than people that are currently living, right? And that would make sense. And if you look around, look how many orbs are here. How many? If these are spirits, now can we prove that these are spirits? I can't prove it. I try to make sense of it, but is there absolute proof? I can't say I have absolute proof. Is it possible that these things were never human? They could just be aliens from the beginning. That's very possible because I mean this paranormal community, they do tend to believe these are human spirits, ghosts, but in reality, there's really no way of knowing. They could just be an alien that just their ability is able to put thoughts into our minds and manipulate our thoughts. Maybe that's just their ability. Are they ever humans? I have no idea. Until someone can make that connection and figure this out, I have no idea. I based on my what I understand, back to that abandoned silver mine, how there's orbs inside the mine, and people probably die inside those mines, and there's orbs in there. I mean, that's one theory, but then it's still not 100%. But it does sound more reasonable to believe they are once human. Now they're dead and they're an orb spirit. Now, this is going to be important now. Okay. Now, so look at this lady here on the right. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this and I want to you to pay attention to her head and her shoulder. You see this orb on her head and you see these two orbs on her shoulder. One's on her shoulder, the other one's on that side. And if you look closely, there's also one right in front of her face, kind of where my cursor is. Like this green one here. This one is literally, I believe, absorbing her energy. Now, one thing I learned is when we think, our brain is like a generator. Our brain actually sends off energy because we actually have we're like a we're like a battery. We're like a walking battery. And when we think a lot, we think we're actually giving off energy. Like I don't want to say, I think all humans got like a electromagnetic field of its own or something, an aura or something. But I just know we give off energy. And when we think, our head or brain is giving off more energy because we're thinking. And these things, I believe these things truly do absorb those energy. And I believe these are also the reason why it is causing human to have about 70,000 thoughts, 60,000 thoughts, whatever the average is per day. And all those thoughts are just making the person become ADHD. All these fast thoughts, random thoughts. Those fast, quick thoughts are not helping you. It's actually harder to think slow, and it's easy to have fast thoughts, because that's just one thought goes to another thought, goes to another thought. You're training yourself to lose focus, and that's how ADHD works. And all those thoughts throughout the day, it's like your brain's gonna get tired because your brain's been working all day generating energy. And these things is they're absorbing the energy all day long. So they're literally killing the human by absorbing the energy out of the human. And over time, if this thing was stuck to her head over time, she would start having headaches right here. This is the area where she would have headaches. And that's what in the gang stalking community, people would believe this is a directed energy weapon. There's no laser beam. The directed energy weapon comes from these orbs planting itself right onto you. And these, like this one right here, planting itself onto her shoulder. Over time, she's gonna have shoulder pain, or she's gonna start feeling shoulder discomfort. If you're young, you wouldn't really feel it. But after about 10 years, yeah, these things could literally cling onto you your whole life. So after about 10 years of this thing on here, when you age, you're going to start to feel it. And only then will you realize that something's going on. And you're probably going to start thinking it's the directed energy weapon attack. Because they already been attacking you for so long, you're already getting weaker. I think all TI would agree on this. As you age, you notice this. You're getting weaker faster than what you can remember. That's because these things are absorbing your energy. So look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on her. There's probably a bunch of smaller ones that the camera didn't pick up. And I know there's a lot inside her garment. The smaller ones like to hang out inside people's garments. So for guys wearing jeans, it's inside your jeans. It's inside your shirts. And it just clings on to you throughout the day. And you know how to get rid of them? Well, the way to get rid of them is by taking a shower, taking a bath, going swimming. Water is what pushes them off. Just like how the Bible talked about baptizing, right? Cleaning the unholy spirit, cleaning all the sin, all the bad stuff off of you. Well, I believe all it is just putting yourself in water. But of course, it'll help if your mind, reinforce your mind with some positive attitude, right? You're going to get baptized. That's a positive thing. Your mind's going to be in a positive state of mind. So that's obviously better than just washing them off with water. So you're doing two good things. Have a positive thought of getting baptized, starting clean, and then the water will actually push these things off. So it's better to have that positive thought. So getting baptized is a positive thought. But all you need, I believe, is just water. Now here's what I learned, and I'm going to share with you guys. Water alone will wash them off if you take a shower. But what's happening? You wash them off. Where do they go? They're right next to you in the shower. They're right next to you inside the bathroom. So after you finish showering, you dry yourself. What happens? They cling right back onto you. That's why in the original, the movie Exorcist was based off of the event that happened. But the event that happened, the possessed person, I think it was a little boy, was taken out of the home, was taken to the church to conduct the exorcism. Because if you force the demon out of the boy inside the home, well, where's that demon go? That demon just going to still be inside the home. And the boy's living there. The demon's going to get right back onto the boy. That's why the boy was taken to the church, and once the demon was out, the boy goes back home, the demon's not there. Well, that is the concept, but I believe these things can just they can cling on. I truly believe the only way to really cleanse yourself is going to the ocean. And that is why I got myself certified in scuba diving. And this is another information I will share with you in a different video. But the true way of cleansing yourself from these things is by going to the ocean. Not a lake, the ocean. Not a river. Well, you know what? A river could work. A river could work. Basically, the stronger the force of the moving water, the better. So a river with a moving water is doable. But the ocean, the force of the ocean, it's it is the best. I mean, the ocean water, the force of the ocean water, it is the best. So with this, okay, I have to go back a little bit. I totally just missed out on this. Right here. Okay, so this one. Now, this image here was from a CNN report on Havana syndrome, I think. Yeah. And they have this diagram, okay? Invisible attack, microwave attack victim. And what's interesting, look, it shows this right here that's inside the person's ear. And what does this look like to you? To me, right away, this looks like one of those grayish little orb, right? It looks like an orb, transparent orb, but not just one, a lot. You see, when you see one of them, okay, you see one, but imagine there's two of them stacked on top. Well, it would make sense if more stack on top of each other, it will be more dense, and more dense means what? The color is more dense, right? The tone is more dense. So I don't believe this just to be one. From my understanding, they don't work as one. They work as a group because one is just not enough. They work as a group, and they'll feed a person thoughts. There's 10, they can feed you 10 thoughts, 10 different thoughts. Or they could feed you one uniform thought. They all agree on one thought. They all 10 will feed you the same thought. And all of a sudden now you just receive a strong thought coming from 10 of them because they all agree. Or they all disagree. And all of a sudden you start getting all these different thoughts and you can't decide which one to go with. Does that make sense? Does this logically make sense? Now look at this photo here. So these orbs, they don't discriminate. They're everywhere. Doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how little money you have. They operate in the space, the area. They are everywhere. And if it's true that they do have all the time, then technically all this is irrelevant. How much money you have, how little money you have is really irrelevant to them if you think about it. But I think what they really care about is a solid uh, unity, like a solid group, a good society, a good collective. So when you look at this photo, you see this little boy, how there's one little orb on his left temple right here. I truly believe, okay? See these orbs? I truly believe based on my personal experience and my research, these things is all over my face, especially on my left eye, because I have a lazy left eye. And other TIs have made mention that, oh, TIs have a lazy left eye. That's because I truly believe since a kid, these things been attached to my left eye, and it's absorbing energy out of my left eye. Because if you think about it, whenever we open our eyes and we see things, we're not just seeing things, we're actually using energy. We're generating energy for our eyes, and we're actually using that energy to keep our eyes open and actually see things. So if you have your eyes open for a long time, let's say for 2 days, what happens? Well, your eyes gonna get tired, right? Because you've been generating energy for 2 days using your eyes. So now you're tired because you generate so much energy, and your vision's gonna go bad because now your eyes are like overworked, right? It's overworked. It needs to be turned off for a bit. Go to sleep. So these things are just absorbing energy out of our eyes. That's generating, whenever we see things. When we move, we're technically generating energy. We lift a finger, we're generating energy. We lift up our arm, we're generating energy. And these things are absorbing that. And if you're sitting there, you don't move much, like a couch potato, their way of getting your energy is by your brain thinking about stuff. So if you're watching TV, well, you're not thinking, but they can trigger you to think. They can send you a thought based off of whatever you're watching on TV. They'll send you a thought and trigger the process of you thinking, and now they're absorbing your energy. But I was also told by other entities that they can get energy from the actual TV. They can get energy from the TV. And I made a video how I swing my arm in the air and I would feel resistance in the air, kind of like swinging my arms inside a swimming pool. Now, this resistance, I came to discover that it's these entities, because they're like balls of energy, electromagnetic fields, and they can come together. So if they come together, then they're very more dense in the atmosphere. If I swing my arm, I would feel a resistance as I swing through it. And going back to that TV theory, how they can absorb energy from the TV, the next time you turn on the TV, after about 20 minutes, you go up to your TV and you kind of brush your arm in front of your TV, and you would feel some type of radiation resistance, right? I believe that feeling of radiation, that kind of density, that resistance in front of the TV, it's accumulation of these orbs in front of the TV. Because these orbs are little balls of energy and they're just fly towards the TV somehow. I mean, I'm not good with science, but that makes sense to me. Because if these things were everywhere, they're in your room, you turn on the TV, they would just fly to the TV. And they'll get built up in front of the TV. So when you swing your arm in front of the TV, you'll feel resistance, like something's there. Like this little thing on this little boy's temple, you could feel it if you swing your pinky over it. But that thing's kind of small. Maybe on a bigger one, like on above this girl's head, like this one right here. But imagine all these orbs come together into one group of them. Then you can really feel it when you swing your pinky over. You can feel the resistance. And it's nothing to do with wind, because I'm talking about something that's happening indoor. Indoor with no windows open. And this is the type of experiment you got to do. They're there. They're in the physical. So this is not outdoor wind that's resisting on your arm when you swing it. This is one of those a paranormal investigator on YouTube. I believe they were in pitch darkness at some haunted places, and they were trying to communicate with the ghost, but not realizing the ghost is already on him and her. The ghost is already next to them, and they're trying to communicate with them, but the ghost is not acknowledging. These things, they get entertainment out of messing with people. I also believe they are at a disadvantage if people actually know of their existence, because their major advantage over humans is to put thoughts into our heads. So as soon as a human realize that, or learn to identify certain thoughts or which thoughts are coming in. I mean, if thoughts are going to come in, you let them come in, but you have to identify if they're good thoughts or bad thoughts. There's people every day just keep getting bad thoughts, and they keep thinking bad thoughts, and they have no idea why they're depressed. People that are depressed is because for a long time now, I can assure you that person's mind been thinking about a lot of negative stuff. There's no way of proving it unless that person truthfully comes out, but this is not an overnight thing. It's a long time that person's mind been trained to receive negative thoughts, and that person just continuously thinking to those negative thoughts on a daily basis. So I'm gonna actually check on some comment now. We're about to come to the end. Well, 5 people, huh? What 5 or 3? Well, thank you guys for listening. Reptilian, they live. This is so true. Are we in the matrix and others outside it? And we are easy to stalk by them because they can track us from outside and insert themselves anywhere inside the sim. There's no getting away from these things. They're everywhere. And if they decide to cling on to you or stick with you, then they could literally be there for a long time. So new methods going to be required from you to figure it out. But a lot of people don't even realize that these things are clinging on to them. So I hope what I'm showing you guys can help you connect some dots in your life. Come out of the world and accept Christ. Captain Rabbit, very lightly done by Archon. That's very true. Yeah, orbs are either good angels or bad angels. It's one or the other. Um, but it's the bad one that's just bad. So we can say there's good ones, but what are we gonna do about the bad ones? You see, that's what TIs need to do for society, is by bringing awareness or figure out a way to uh, bridge humans with these things, these orbs, and have some type of diplomatic system. Because even if a person can get rid of a bad orb, Well, what happened? That orb's going to go to somewhere else. Probably going to go find somebody else. So it's still doing bad things. There needs to be a better way of changing this, or some type of mutual understanding. Because these bad orbs, they have no responsibility. They don't have bills to pay. They don't have to clean or do laundries or wash dishes. They don't do any of that. All they do is just play around, basically. When they're doing bad things to a person, they're just playing. So they're just playing every day. They have no responsibility. They don't go to work. They'll cling on to you and go to work with you, though, and mess with you. That's why a lot of TIs can't keep a job, because when they're at work, the gang stalkers are messing with the TI. But guess what? It's not the people at work. It's these orbs next to your head. Does it make sense now? See, before I show you these orbs, how they're just everywhere, just look at this photo right here. This guy and the person, the woman holding a camera, they probably have no idea these things are next to them until they get back to their office and actually pop in the DVD or the video and watch it. But even then, it might not trigger the awareness that these things can manipulate them a certain way, can manipulate their thought a certain way. Because they have not connected the dots, the dots. They have not connected the dots that these things have the ability to manipulate their mind. And the only people that can recognize this are TIs. More specifically, TIs that are going through V2K and have just the right environment and background and understanding and resources to figure it out, which by chance, I believe I stumble upon it, and that's why I'm showing it to you guys. Some have evil faces in them. Yeah, it's very true. There's reptilians, shapeshifters too among us, fallen angels, demons. I believe these orbs are more in the fallen angels category, demons. Now, when it comes to reptilians and shapeshifters, okay, I've talked about this story I had about, most likely, I would say more reptilians, but I did not see it. I only felt it. I was in a sleep paralysis and I felt these fingernails. Okay, they were pointy fingernails, not too pointy, but just pointy enough, touching my cheeks. Turn my head slightly to the right, and then I felt these dry lips. They were dry, like scaly lips, press onto my lips, and then sucking air out of my stomach. So I felt air being sucked out of me, like my essence. And I was in a sleep paralysis. So my mind was awake, but I have no control of my body. But this is not the first time I had a sleep paralysis. So I know in the back of my mind, in about 10, 15, 20 seconds, I'm going to gain control of my body. And I was not scared. My mind was awake. I can feel the sensation on my body, which are these fingernails and these dry lips pressed onto my lips and air being sucked out. And as soon as I gained control of my hands, I opened my eyes and there was nothing there. I jumped up. I start shouting. I start cussing. I start screaming, "Where are you? Why'd you run away?" All this stuff. Start talking trash about it. And then after I'm done, I just went back to sleep. I just got back in bed, went to sleep. I didn't even bother checking the rest of my place. I didn't even go into the living room. I didn't even go to the bathroom. I just opened my eyes and there was nothing there. So it's either the thing is super fast or somehow it's some type of sleep paralysis reality where it feels like it's in the physical. But if you actually had experience with sleep paralysis, your mind is awake. So you're already in reality. You're already in this current reality. You just have no control of your body. So if my mind's awake, like now, but I have no control of my body, but I felt fingernails on my cheeks. I felt my head turning. I felt these dry lips press onto mine. I just couldn't open my eyes to see what it is, but I can feel it in my senses. So does that mean that thing is actually here in the physical? Because I felt it in the physical. I just couldn't open my eyes, but my mind was awake. So I do believe there is some type of creature out there that's based on that description, right? Dry lips, sharp, pointy nails. Sounds kind of like a reptilian, doesn't it? And if it's true, then they're super fast because I opened my eyes and it was gone. It was nothing there. Some have big black eyes in the orb. Yeah. There are stories of when people do evil things out there, their eyes turn pitch black. That's very true. I've seen it myself in somebody else. Pitch black eyes. It's usually when the person is extremely upset, extremely pissed off, and they're ready to fight you if you trigger them. They might even kill you if you trigger them. I've seen it. And I've heard it in other documentaries, usually in crimes or some type of bad, uh, bad, events happening. That's when one of those suspects, one of those people, have pitch black eyes. I don't think baptism is positive. I will never give my soul to Yahweh. He is evil and drowns babies. Okay, that's one thing I didn't bring up. I guess yeah, to be baptized, you also have a lot more involved. It's not just cleansing your spirit and start fresh. You're right. There's more to it, and it's up to the person. If you think it's good, then it doesn't hurt. If you don't want to do that, then just go to the ocean and just let the ocean water cleanse you. The Master's Voice Prophecy blog is a legit end time prophetess solely commissioned by God Jesus. She has tons of supernatural end time videos. Okay. Oh, is that a content creator? Maybe I'll check it out later. Some of the images you showed are not orbs. It's just the glare of sun rays, etc. But definitely some are orbs. I see them all the time in my pics. Okay, when you sun glare, just the glare of sun rays, etc. See, um, exactly which part of the video, if you can rewind a little bit, if possible, you can let me know, and I'll just go check it out. That'll be cool. Fallen angels can appear as humans, our pets, as trees, anything that has matter they can turn into. Oh, good point you brought up. So that orb on that girl's head, okay, that's the same concept as the movie Fallen. That orb can technically get off of her head and hop onto one of her girlfriend's head, the two girlfriends next to her. So that orb can jump from person to person, just like that movie Fallen, and that's how that concept works. But in the movie Fallen, that entity is not that small. That entity is a huge entity. And I believe the ones in the movie Fallen, that entity is bigger than the actual person. Yes, these orbs gets big. And if you really want to know how big, they can get bigger than planet Earth. Think about that. Think about an orb that's bigger than planet Earth. So there's something for you guys to research about. So an orb that is, let's just call energy, okay? like I'm right now. I feel like they're more like just a blob of energy, but somehow our camera lenses or our eyes is picking them up as a circle. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't know, but there's definitely a certain blob type of energy out there. And I've seen these orbs when the light turns off, there there's a blob of residue when the light source is gone. Because you usually only see them when there's a light source as a circle. But when the light's off, there's just a blob. It's like a fuzziness, a blob of energy. When you see the skies get these abnormal pretty colors, bright red, gold, etc., it's a sign the fallen angels are soon to appear on earth. I believe we're actually living in these fallen angels. These fallen angels are everywhere. They're huge. And I mean all these are just speculation, right? I mean, I'm sure I agree with you. And can we prove any of this, right? I don't have the resources, but hopefully by spreading this information, I hope that someone out there will one day connect some dots and have the resources, have the power to influence, either a group of people, get together, make some changes. Because this is a side of science that needs to be researched and needs to be accepted as a norm, as something that people needs to know about. But guess what? Who can manipulate the scientist's mind? These entities, these very entities that I'm talking about that you're listening to, also have the ability to mess with the scientist's mind. I truly believe there's a collective of these entities that wants to keep the human in the dark because they realize their main power is manipulating people's mind. And if the humans know of their mind can be manipulated, the human's not gonna like it. But I know that for a fact because I'm a TI, I'm receiving V2K, and they already know people don't like being invaded in their head. They already know this. That's why it's counterproductive for them. They can have more control of us by not letting us know they're there. Because then they can just guide us by thoughts and lead us a certain path and live a life that somewhat the way that they want to see fit to them. Because technically they're living a life with you if they're manipulating you and they're guiding you to in your decision making. You're technically living a life that they also want you to live. They want you to be a playboy, right? Always like going out looking for hookups, and you buy into those thoughts. You can live a life of being a playboy, right? Does that make sense? That's why sometimes people, how come you can't change? Why are you always out there being playboy? Well, now you know because it's not just you. There's another force that's around you that you can't see with your own eyes. Yes, she talks of Nephilim. They're gonna return to USA to destroy, kill humans as God's wrath. Um, I have no comment on that. I really don't have any information on it. All right, I'm gonna. Okay, well, this just seems like talking about some lady or some person. I believe these fallen angels always been here. They actually got. They are in control of society. They're in government. They are in Hollywood, they are in militaries, they are actually in people's head. That's what it is. They are in people's head. They are in That's why I may mention in my other videos, I believe every person on earth is a TI. That's because these things are in everybody's head. And if you're a good person, right? You're brought up good, you make good decisions, you're a good person, then when they feed you some negative thoughts, you're not gonna accept those thoughts. You're not gonna do those things. But can't say the same for your neighbors, right? Your neighbors might be the opposite of you. So your neighbors might be more of a bad person, and whenever negative thoughts comes into your neighbor's head, your neighbors start thinking about it and actually behaving like that type of character. So of course, these fallen angels, if they want to go that route, they would spend more time on your neighbors than on you. Does it make sense? Or you just naturally have a defense against those negative thoughts, so you don't even entertain negative thoughts. But your neighbors love negative thoughts and love those perverted thoughts. Whenever your neighbor gets it, your neighbor thinks about it all day long and just a bad person. So of course, you're going to attract more of the fallen angels' attention, right? So it really comes down to the quality of your thoughts. You're a good person, you're going to have good thoughts. You're a normal average person, you're vulnerable to negative thoughts. So you're vulnerable. But if you're a bad person, you're just these things wants to send you negative thoughts, you're gonna get negative thoughts, and you're gonna live a life with these negative thoughts, and that's how I see it. I mean, obviously, it's a certain degree of it. One's more than the other. You can't say not everyone's the same. I mean, this is fascinating. This is very fascinating. A lot of stuff in the Bible, I see correlation with gang stalking. I do. Also learned not everything in the Bible are good. I believe there's some things in the Bible are actually put in there by the evil entities. And if you want specific, I'm gonna have to go look it up. But I know there's certain passage it just doesn't sound right, and I do believe that they were put in there on purpose by another force, the opposing force. Okay, I'm gonna continue finishing my video. Okay, here we go. Almost done. I think about I'm gonna finish before 2:20, 2:30. It's getting long. Okay, so here we go. Now, this one here is good because since we're talking about Bibles and stuff, now if you look at Jesus, what do you see? Well, I can't zoom in here. I wish I can zoom in a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in right here. Okay, cool. Now, if you look at this photo here, Jesus actually got a circle on his head, a halo. Well, based on my personal experience and research, these orbs are on our head. These halos and these depictions are orbs. And you look, this person don't have a halo. This person don't have a halo. Not everyone has a halo, but a few of them have halos. And these ones with the halos are the true TIs. Jesus was a TI. These people here with the halo are TIs. The orbs that manipulate the TI's daily life can cling onto the TI's head and it'll look just like a halo in these depictions. This is why I always tell the TI community the TIs are special because the TIs have an awareness that something is going on. But with that being said, not every TI it's a good TI because some TIs actually listen to all the negative thoughts and fall in victim and become one of those mass murderers. So TIs can also be a controlled object for these demons, for these entities. But a TI that resists these gang stalkers, well, you know what they are. They're probably pissed off at gang stalking, but they're just missing that piece of information to bring awareness into them to make them realize it's not the people in public that they need to be upset over. It's these invisible entities next to them, which are these orbs. So those TIs just needs to make that connection that the reason they're always pissed, the reason they're always upset is because these orbs are next to them and it's making him or her depressed, paranoid, and think people in public are there to get him or her when all it is just these orbs feeding a negative idea into the TI's head. And the TI have no idea that the thought that just came in was from another source, a demon that's next to the TI's head. One of these orbs, a halo. Just because a halo's on a TI's head does not mean that halo is a good one. My understanding, mostly they are demon-like. That's why I say do not trust them. Okay, this one here. This one here is a wedding. Okay, you can clearly see who's the TI. These people don't have the halo. Okay, and these two getting married have halos on them. And now, what's the benefit of these halo, right? Because in reality, right, based on what I'm telling you guys since the beginning, these things are intelligent. So with one of them on your head, technically you have two brains. You're functioning with basically another mind. So you're being helped by, let's say, an assistant that's helping you. So two brains is better than one, especially when the other brain is older than you, probably went through more things in life, probably have more knowledge than you, more wise, more wisdom. That's if you're fortunate enough to get one of those halo, one of those orb spirits. And so far, based on what I researched, the TIs, what they're going through, we don't have those good spirits. We get demon orbs on TI's head, messing with the TI. driving the TI to go insane. Some of them actually go mass murder. Some of them go commit suicide. So these halo, these orbs, they're not like those little ones. These are actually bigger. Look, the size of these are bigger than a human's head. That little boy on the left eye, left temple, that's a tiny little orb. This is a big orb. It's bigger than the human's head. That's how old these things are. And how can you tell how old they are? I have no idea. But I truly believe the bigger they are, the older they are. It's just how it makes sense to me. And the older they are, the more temper they have. They behave more like a kid. They have temper issues. They easily get upset. Actually, let me tell you a theory from what I believe. I believe when, let's say, a group of a family moved into a new home, and out of nowhere, after about a year or so, all these strange things happening, right? And it seems like one person in the family is getting picked on, like a younger kid, a teen or whatever. I believe, okay, I can't prove it. I believe there's always these entities in people's home. So even when you bought a new home and you moved in, okay, you move into a home, okay, there's already entities inside that home. So you're like a newcomer to them. These entities inside the home will believe that they are there first before you, even though on paper they don't own the home, but they've been there on the land longer than you. And they're old, but yet they're very short tempered. So I believe if a family member does something that's not acceptable to these entities, all it takes is one incident, and these entities can start behaving in a way to against that one family member. And this could happen with anything. They're just like their personalities. So these entities, they all have their own personalities, and they could easily get triggered to not like a certain person that's living on the property. And when they not like these people, they will drive these people to a point of insanity. They can do that. They can drive these people, if they really hate the people that just moved in, they can do things to cause these people to just run away and not go back again. Right? Like stories like making objects move, making the family scare of some crazy stuff's happening. So now they have to go live in a hotel, right? They don't want to go back to that house. So these entities can do stuff like that to the family that's just moved in. If these entities decide not to like them or something about them that they don't like, and they can create trouble, create stress, create fear to drive the family that just moved in to move away. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. Sometimes there's stories where it can drive a person to commit murder and get taken away or do something. Basically, my point is these entities have the ability to make a person live in fear, can push a person to do things that's unacceptable, can push the person to commit murder, violent crime, and behaviors that just not what that person do prior to moving to that place. It can change that person's behavior over time. It could be a very good person once they move into that home. Over time, right? Very good person might take longer to break, but over time they can attempt to break the person's spirit and break the person's goodness. Okay, it can over time can turn that good person into someone that behaves completely different. So that these entities have the ability to change and influence people over time. And it's happening right now as we speak. I hope the stuff I'm talking about now makes sense to you guys, or if you disagree, let me know. I mean, it's all theories, right? So even this here right here is, I believe these are doors, some type of door plate. These door plates, look, they even show halos on these people. Look, there's circle on top of their head. They're halos. I believe at some point in time, these halos could be seen with naked eyes. Even though I said we can't see them with our naked eyes, but I believe that these things can show themselves to us if they want to. I truly believe they have the ability to show themselves to us if they want to. And I believe at some point in time in the past, these things were seen by people. I don't know how long, but just enough to create an acceptance in that group of people, an acknowledgement that these things are there. Just enough to cause them to believe in it in their mind, and that will spread on to the future generation until it eventually kind of just the stop, the information just stops. Does that make sense? Because I know these things can show themselves if they really want to show themselves. See, obvious, you see the orb on her head. No orbs on these two. Now, I have to make a mention. This orb can actually get on animals. This orb can get on these animals. This orb can get on a bird, can get on a cat. You ever, if you own pets, maybe sometime think back, you've seen some pets that kind of behave like kind of strange. Or certain pets might seem more in tune with awareness. It's like looking at you like it's aware of its existence or knows of your existence. It's not like a normal pet. Well, I believe usually pets like that, I believe there's literally orbs on their heads. Like two brains is better than one, right? You can see not everyone's got orb. This guy's got an orb. So not everybody's a TI, a true TI. This is how I reference. This right here, I would say it's a TI. A true TI, but one that's aware of the voice to skull and is not afraid of it. Because all TIs are receiving it, but not every TI understands it. They're already communicating with you, but you're just completely being messed with by them. Look at this one. Not everyone's got orbs, but this guy's got an orb. See, this guy's got an orb. Here's an orb, obvious. Jesus Christ, you usually see him with an orb. And that's because he's a TI. He was a TI. A good one. So The next phase of this is to broaden your imagination. Not even imagination. I'm going to show you information that would just broaden your whole understanding of this. Okay, so what I'm showing you, it's based on my own personal self-evidence that I stumble upon these orbs. They're always around me. They're on my property. And that would lead to seeing them on TV and in shapes and patterns that I can't explain. And also showing you in these depictions of these halos on people's head that looks in a way just like the beginning of this video when I show you videos of myself with these circles always hanging around. But the next phase of this, I will show you the theory of why some believe they are fallen angels, which I do believe they are also found in space. The information beyond planet Earth will take a long time for me to show you and explain. It'll probably take me another 3 hours. And that is just way too much in one session. So I will leave it here with you guys and let you guys just take in this information and go do your own research. I will continue this in a future date. I hope you enjoyed this video presentation. And I'm going to bed. If you have questions, please comment and I will try to answer you. But it's really late and I will try to do a live stream tomorrow. If you want to join me, talk about this tomorrow, you're welcome to come and maybe even join in on the live chat. But thank you for joining me. Oh, well, hold on. The moon landing was a hoax. There's a lot of people talk about that, and it's not a hoax. You should look up the some Apollo 14, 15, 13, any one of those footage on YouTube, the original ones. They're about like 40 minutes long. I mean, after watching that for a while, you can tell it's not a hoax. And actually, when China sent one of those lunar module to the moon, I believe like almost 10 years ago, and they released all these photos they confirmed that the US was there on the moon because they took photos of all the stuff that was left on moon from the Apollo missions. So China itself, they even came out with photos and confirming that the US was there. Well, who's they? Like, do you have the link to that video? And because you see, this is a big claim here. Like the US openly talk about being on the moon. So I mean, you're saying that they are lying to the world every country in the world it's taking in their lives. I mean, that's a big, bold claim. Like this video, if you have the link, I would like to see it. I would like to watch it, and I would like to check out that perspective. It's interesting, but it's a bold claim to say they never landed on the moon when every country out there accepts that they landed on the moon. No one doubts that. I mean, unless you know a country that comes out and doubt that. I mean, otherwise it's hard to disprove that claim. Do you know the title of the video? Because I've seen a lot of NASA footage, and they're definitely jumping around and doing stuff that's the moon to me. I mean, it seems hard to really fake those videos. Oh, okay, okay. All right, well, I'll go check it out. Well, thank you for the info. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will do a live stream tomorrow. And if you want to join in, talk about this, great. Comment if you like, share to anyone that uh, can find this information helpful. So just thank you for your support and thank you for joining me. Have a good night, everybody. Shim Hong signing out.